My mic was open. You guys probably all got an echo. I'm sorry. I feel shame. Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's up? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What's shaking on your Friday night? You're probably getting ready to watch that dumb fight. But we've got something better here this evening, Mr. Steve Bluestein, as of course, always. Like, share, subscribe, notification bell, retweet, all the things that we can do for free to appease the algorithm, the almighty algorithm. And then we have super chats, memberships. Do that if you want to. You don't have to. We don't really care. We do have a monetary goal every evening of any amount of money, but we're not enforcing it. And then lastly, turn on your gifted memberships. If somebody comes in and gives out some freebies, you'll get a freebie. And who doesn't want a freebie? Unless it's in an alley. This is one of my easily top 10, maybe top 5 people in the world creatively. Let's see, there's my other sister, one of my brothers, first girl that anyway, he's up in the top. It's like 4th, 5th, and then my parents. He's done everything, you know. He's a renowned stand-up comic. He's opened for some of the biggest acts in the world, actor, writer of television shows, award-winning playwright, and member of his president's council on physical fitness. He is the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated, Mr. Steve Bluestein. How you doing today?
Hey, Tom, how are you? Hey, who's singing that music? That's great. I love that.
It's actually a guy that's in a bigger band. I forget which one. It's called the band that made that record, and it's almost impossible to find. I'll send you a copy if you want to. Is Max Carl and Big Dance.
Wow.
And
it's great.
Yeah. It's a guy, somebody in the chat may know. I've looked it up before. It's a guy who was in a big band and made a lot of money in rock and roll, and this was like a side project or something. And the amazing thing is that I keep playing it and I've received no copyright strike. So
he's probably dead.
That, or I don't know, man. There's some of those companies they'll chase you from the grave. But I think he just did it as a side thing and never licensed it. So anyway,
all right,
that never happens. Ever. So I met you through that book you wrote that right. I keep rereading. Is it Memoir or Memoirs of a Nobody?
It's Memoir, single. Memoir of a Nobody.
Yeah, that's probably classy. Oh, Julian Caesar says, I think Glenn Fry co-wrote that song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we know he's dead. But anyway, your past is amazing. You're a show business exec, but you were in tight with some people when you were at Emerson, right?
Well, I went to school with Henry Winkler and oh God, I'm gotten old now, so I can't remember anything. I can't remember any name, but it'll come to me within the hour.
Yeah.
And Mark Walper and Andrea Martin.
Oh my God.
Went to college. And Vin DeBona, who is the producer of America's Funniest Home Videos. We all went to school together at Emerson in Boston.
Yeah, and then what led you to getting to Los Angeles? The story is crazy, and especially when you got there, you're you knew what you wanted to do, but you took all these other things that you were doing.
I went to school with a girl named Susan Herzberg. Her married name is Susan Joseph. And she was a year behind me. So I came to New York City first, and then Susan came to New York. And Susan was much more aggressive than I was in those days. And she got a job at IFA, and which was an agency, a big agency. And they represented somebody called Seals and Crofts. And one night, Susan said to me, "Come on, we're going to see Seals and Crofts." I said, "What's a Seals and Crofts?" She said, "Just come with me." We went down to the Village, and we went, I think it was like maybe Basin Street. I don't, one of the clubs in the Village. And they were in the back room. They weren't even they were in the back room. The audience was seated on the floor. So we all sat on the floor. And Jimmy and Dash came out, and they played, and they were magnificent. I had never heard anything like that. Susan turned to me and said, "I'm going to work for them." I said, "Okay, fine." Well, within 6 months, she had connected with their manager. She was working for them, and they were going to Los Angeles. So Susan was going to Los Angeles, and wherever Susan went, Steve went. So I sold everything in my apartment in New York, and my car and everything, and I moved out to LA. I got here on a Thursday. I found an apartment on a Friday, and the following Monday, I got a job as an assistant handbag buyer at the May Company.
Which, for those of you who don't know, the May Company is like a giant department store. There's always in the Jack Benny TV show. Seems like they were always.
So I happened to be living in an apartment building, and Dave Madden, who was
Reuben Kincaid,
Reuben on the Partridge Family, lived in the building. And, we'd be down by the pool, and I'd be making everybody laugh because that's just was my personality. I just have that personality. You may not be able to tell by this conversation, but on stage, that's my personality. So he said to me, they just opened a club called the Comedy Store on the Sunset Strip. You should go in and check it out. And the next night, Albert Hammond and Dave Madden took me to the Comedy Store. And I sat there, and I really hated my job at the May Company. And I thought, I could do this. I could. And 5 days later, I came back. I got on stage, and Sammy said, "You keep coming back. You have the sound. You keep coming back." And from there, I became one of the 20 or 30 comedians in 1971 who opened the Comedy Store. And from there, Gary Austin was there, and he was on the Comedy Store Players. And Gary started an improv workshop, which became the Groundlings. And I was in that workshop. So it was like that until Gary Weinberg at ICM came up to me at the Improv one night, and he said, "I saw you at the Comedy Store, and it was the first time I had laughed in 3 weeks. Call me." I called him the next day, and he signed me to the biggest agency in town, and that's when it started. I opened for Donna Summer and Barry Manilow, Melissa Manchester, Kenny Loggins, Frankie Valli, Tower of Power. I mean, just on, and I just worked all the time. And,
One of the things that you've done, I don't know if I ever told you this or not, but it's one of the most, I'm a big movie guy. And you were in Rabbit Test, which I think is one of the most underrated. And it's like, this should be a cult film. This should be something people are watching. It was an amazing idea.
Well,
and
it
then
is
Joan.
It is a cult film. It is.
Yeah, it should just be much more popular. It should be way up there with like Napoleon Dynamite and all that other.
Yeah, especially since Billy Crystal was the star. And And I got in because Joan Rivers and I had the same manager.
Okay.
So Billy said to Joan, you should use Steve. And she said, okay. And that's how I got in the film. That's, in show business, it's basically how everything is done. I was in, they called me Bruce because Johnny Yoon was a comic who I knew from, around the clubs. And he called me up and he says, I have a part for you. I said, what time do you want me there? It was like,
who were your peers when you first started at the comedy?
Right. When I first started, there was George Miller, Jeff Altman, Kip Adada.
Oh, Kip.
Murray Langston, Johnny Dark, Elaine Boozler, Robin Tyler, Jay Leno, David Letterman. I'm sure there are others, but
yeah, man.
Gary Muledeer.
Oh wow! But George Miller. Oh boy, there's a funny guy, and Elaine Boozler. Oh God, she makes me crack up. I mean,
she was. I mean, of the new wave, she was the first. The new wave women. She was the first. After her came, all the others. But Elaine was, and still is. We're still good friends to this day. She has a charity called Tales of Joy, which she rescues animals. And on my birthday on Facebook, I raised money for the Tales of Joy.
Oh, cool. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah. Now you have a story that I don't know whether it lives in infamy or whatever. You actually were one of the people that wrote on, the Brady Bunch variety show.
I know. And how I got that job is the most bizarre thing ever. Like I told you, I was signed by ICM Gary Weinberg. Gary calls me up and says, I have an audition for you. And I said, what's it for? He says, it's for a writing position. I said, all right, what's it for? Just go. Just go. Don't ask any questions. Just go to the interview. I said, okay, I'll go to the interview. So I went to the interview and he said, bring your videotape. And I brought my videotape because at that point I had done talk shows, Merv Griffin and Mike Douglas and all. And bring your video. So I brought my video. They viewed the video and they said, God, that's funny stuff. Would you like to be a writer on the show? And I said, sure. What's the show? And they said, the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. And just as they said that, right? Just as they said, a little gnat flew in front of my face. And I went like that to kill it. And they thought I was doing, like the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. So, and they laughed hysterically and they said, that's it. You're hired. And that's how. So it was me and Terry Hart and Bruce Valanche and Ronnie Graham, the guy who did the commercial on Dirt, and Carl Kleinschmidt and Michael. I can't think of his last name, but Michael, he came in a little later than the rest of us. He was the heaviest pot smoking person I have ever met. I mean, they gave him an office upstairs in the back by himself so that he could smoke pot as long as he could. And so one day, Carl Kleinschmidt says, go up to Mike's office and finish the scene with him. I said, okay. So I go up, I'm here, smoke. And within 20 minutes, I'm stoned out of my mind. And my secretary calls and they said, they need you on the set. And I went, oh, okay. And so I go down to the set, and Milton Berle is the star and they needed a punch up on a joke. And one of the actors wasn't there. So the director said, Steve, stand in and read the lines to Milton. So Milton's line was, hello, I'm Milton Berle. And my line was, hi, I'm Bobby Brady. He says, hi, I'm Milton Berle. And I go, hi, I'm Steve. I'm one of the right. I was so loaded that and I was wearing sunglasses. And I look over at Carl, and I take the sunglasses off, and he sees my eyes, and he literally fell over on his side laughing. I mean, it was, and the show looked it too.
Oh God!
Sometimes people will send me clips of the show, you know, and I always write, "I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry that." And I tell people that the Brady Bunch Variety Hour was voted the 4th worst show in television history. And I said to a friend, we couldn't even be the worst show. We had to be the 4th worst show.
Isn't like the Star Wars Christmas special on that list? It's
yeah.
And
Michael Bublé specials. I love Michael Bublé singing, but his Christmas specials, I want to shove pins in both eyes when they just don't work. They just don't work for me.
I don't know how, maybe it's just being a comedian, but you get in these situations in life and you're so quick-witted. One of my favorite things that, if you could tell it again, you may get tired of it, but
right.
Is that, you used to live in a very, Beverly Hills area, right? And just the concept of a Costco. Was it Costco or was it somewhere else where you ran into David Hasselhoff?
Right. It was Costco. I was, at that
Beverly Hills Costco.
Right. At that particular Costco, I saw David Hasselhoff. I saw the 2 people from the Fifth Dimension. I saw the guy with the long blonde hair that was on all the romance novels.
Fabio.
I mean, everybody was at this Costco.
And so the Fifth Dimension would have been Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis.
And Billy, right. The nicest people you ever want to meet. So I'm at Costco, and there's David Hasselhoff standing with his housekeeper. And as I walk by, I hear David say, well, there must be someone here who can help me. And I turned to him and said, David, let me get the concierge for you. And kept walking.
It's so funny. Oh God.
And it was true. And he actually said, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The Costco concierge. That's my doctor called me and he said, Steve, I'm changing my practice. And I said to him, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm now a concierge doctor. I said, oh, that's great. He said, really? I said, yes. Now, not only can you take care of me medically, but you can get me theater tickets. And there was this long silence on the other side of the phone. And he says, I can't get you theater tickets. He said, I know. I was making a joke.
So by the way, Kip, I don't know if you know this, Kip and Dada and I were good friends.
Oh, Kip and I started together. Kip was a hairdresser. And, one of his jokes was, a woman would come in and say, Kip, I don't know which end is up today. And he would say, well, decide quickly because I have to cut one of them. You know? But I used to watch Kip. His timing was like a metronome. He was so meticulous with his timing. But he was a very angry man.
Yes.
And I felt sorry because he was so brilliant. And he used to call me toward the end because he's passed away.
Yes.
He used to call me toward the end. And I'll tell you, this is how the conversations will go. Hello? Steve? Yeah. It's Kip. Oh, hi, Kip. What can I do for you? How are you? And it just broke my heart because he was so sharp and wonderful. And when he passed away, I actually cried. I really mean that because he was somebody who was there from day one with me. And it's like a brotherhood we had, all of the comedians.
Well, he could be so sweet and so caring. But yeah, he definitely could snap. But
Well,
a lot of people say
one time at the Comedy Awards, he had just gotten out of the hospital with open heart surgery, and he was outside smoking. And I said to him, Kip, you just had open heart surgery. What are you smoking for? He said, mind your own goddamn business. And I said, let me get you a carton.
Well, when he died, people didn't know about it for I think the family wanted it kept private or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, he would call. I have because he insisted. One night I was laughing so hard. I go, I should be recording this. And he went, well, you mean you're not?
Yeah.
And so I started recording them, and I probably have 60 hours of conversation with Kip. Excuse me. Wonderful guy, but a lot of people, Tim Allen even says, he was asked, Norm Macdonald asked him, comedian with the best timing, and boom, Kip Addotta.
Yeah, his timing was impeccable, just absolutely impeccable. Now, I retired from Los Angeles. I moved out to the desert, and Gallagher also moved out to the desert. And Gallagher and I was another one. Gallagher, I was there the night Gallagher got on stage for the first time, and all the comics were in the background. Well, who's this guy? And then by the time he was done, he was like one of our best friends because we knew he was so brilliant. So Gallagher lived close by out here in the desert, and he calls me up one night and he said, Steve, I need you to do me a favor. I said, what is it, Gallagher? He said, I need you to get a watermelon and throw it over the back fence at my house. I said, what? He said, yeah, just get me a watermelon and throw it over the fence because they won't get me any water. I said, Kip, I'm not getting you. I mean, Gallagher, his name was Leo. I used to go, Leo, I'm not getting you a watermelon at 9:00 at night and throwing it over your fence. He said, why not?
Now you were with Barry Manilow, not personally, but you were opening for him.
Right.
And a thing happened, and you responded in a way that most people would just be going, yeah, way to go. But Barry didn't see it that way.
Well, no, Barry was okay with it. It was opening night in Las Vegas at the Riviera, and the entire world was there. The press from all over the world. It was the opening night, And I was the opening act. And I went on stage. I'm doing my act, and I had a section of my act about natural childbirth. And I was talking about natural childbirth. And out of the corner of my ear, I hear somebody say, "Steve, get a doctor." And I go like this, and I'm thinking to myself, oh God, not a heckler, not tonight, please, not a heckler tonight. And Steve, get a doctor. And I look down, and there's a woman having a seizure right in front of me. So I stop the show, and I say, is there a doctor in the house? Can we have a doctor up front, please? It appears we need a doctor. The house lights come up. The waiters come in. The front door opens up. A gurney is brought down, and they bring the gurney to the front of the stage, and they lift this woman up on the gurney, and then they carry the woman through the theater, out the front doors. The doors close. The lights come down. The spotlight comes up, and I'm sitting and going, holy shit, what do I do now? And I just said, you know what? I don't think that comedy is appropriate right now. Why don't we take a few-minute break, and Mr. Manilow will come out? And I left, and I went to the side of the stage, backstage, and I just cried because I absolutely thought I blew it. I thought that I just taken the worst, made the worst choice ever. Turns out the press thought it was the classiest thing they had ever seen. Little did they know it was done out of complete fear and inexperience. So they flew me to Philadelphia to do the Mike Douglas show. They did a big deal about it, and the reviews were, Manilow and Bluestein shared the stage like pastrami and corned beef. And, and I don't think Barry liked that because I wasn't even given credit on the marquee. It said Barry Manilow and then roast beef $3.50.
Plus opening act.
Yeah, it said roast beef $3.50. I mean, and I used to say the roast beef got on the marquee. I didn't.
I thought at one point that he was like, he was happy with it, but then at a certain point he was like, why are you getting all the attention?
No, it wasn't like that at all. I don't think he was, he was very meticulous with the craft of his show. And when things went wrong, he let people know. And there was a night where the sound was bad and Barry was very upset. And I remember that specifically. However, the very next night, we went from Vegas to Reno, and the show was fantastic and the sound was great. And Barry, was complimentary. So it depended on, his whim, I guess, that night. Big or small, all entertainers have a huge insecurity and a huge ego. So it's hard.
But he had to appreciate you because you came and you stayed without taking. Oh, Mandy. Anyway, we've got a very, very, very wonderful listener, Dupa Dupa Doo, $10. Thank you so much, Dupa. We will send that to the Steve Bluestein Fund for more palatial, beautiful artwork in his home. Yeah, and by the way,
for accessories, that's what we need more accessories.
No, Steve will buy a $10 painting on a corner next to the velvet paintings, and then it will turn out to be worth $5,000. Believe me,
it's a hobby. I'm in those thrift shops every day. I love it. I'm retired.
Yeah. Thanks for another great week, Tom. Steve Bluestein, which of your accomplishments are you most proud of? Also, what was most enjoyable?
All right. So I'm most proud of my play called Rest in Pieces, which went into production a few years back and had a wonderful run. and it starred Donna Pescow, and it was the most rewarding because that came from right here, and I got it with my manager. My manager got that. Excuse me.
That's okay.
Since I moved to the desert, I now have asthma. You know, it's a gift. It's a gift with purchase. So, and so I'm very proud of that. And what was the other question?
What was the most enjoyable?
The most enjoyable. Oh, well, the Brady Bunch Variety Hour had to have been the most, because working with those guys, it was amazing. I mean, we were always stoned, and we were always, and it was a huge production. It was real show. And Florence Henderson also was with my manager. And so it was fun. And my manager was always there. So I loved working there. I can't say that for some other shows, but I did love that.
Well, hey, I don't want to, stress your voice out too much. I know you're a little under the weather, and you're kind enough to spend some time with us. Man, can we have you back sometime? Because
anytime. Just
forget that. Everybody needs to buy Memoir of a Nobody. I swear to you, we've got some people in the room that know I am a voracious reader. I think I read 100 books every summer from like age 7 to age 20 or something like that. It's the funniest book I've ever read, and it's not even close. It's easy read, anecdotal, but it kind of takes stories through a whole timeline. Can't recommend it enough. But
and it's available on Amazon and Kindle. And I actually have, because I was so bored, I just sat down and started writing books. So I have Point of Pines and Take My Prostate, Please.
Yes.
And 49 and a Half Shades of Bluestein, and a big fat collection of Fett. That's like short stories. But my favorite of them all is Memoir of a Nobody. And it has 115 5-star reviews, so people like it.
Yeah. And you will laugh all the way through it. And of course, Take My Prostate, Please, the funny side of prostate
cancer.
Yes,
right.
Yes, the laugh riot. Anyway, Steve, every time I talk to you, I don't press you because I know you're busy and the things. You're so wonderful to talk to. You're always so positive. You have such great advice, and you actually give a damn. And thank you. I appreciate just you.
Oh, well, it's mutual, Tom. I mean, you're very enthusiastic about my work, and I love that. All I need is about 10 million more of you, and I can come out of retirement.
Well, I'm working on it. It's early on a Friday night.
Right.
However, anyway, thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you.
We will definitely see you later.
All right. Take it easy.
Take it care. That's Steve Bluestein. Man, this dude is one of the funniest people ever. And you have to read that book. I can't wait for the movie. I'm sure I won't be cast in it, but wow. Some of the stories that he told here are in that book. And he's just one of the most incredible people I've ever met. Unfortunately, a little under the weather, because I would have kept him here for 3 or 4 hours, which would have been unfair. So at any rate, let's get to some of your chats. I'll go ahead and open up the phone lines, and we'll have phone lines. Where's my thing? There it is. Bam! And then all of us can concentrate on the important things, like the Mike Tyson fight. And you guys can tell me who you have. I think I covered that last night. I think I'm over modulating, which kind of ticks me off a little bit. All right, what do we got going on here? The Wolf is here, says hi to some people saying hi. The most cheerful chat room on the internet. People people saying hi. I appreciate the view of the room he is in. Well, I don't think Steve mentioned it. I don't think he would, but I think he's actually gotten some awards for his interior design. And I can tell you that room that you saw, that's just one. His place is so perfectly appointed. It's not even funny. It's so tasteful and not overdone, and it's clean and good and right. And I opened up the wrong freaking software here. But anyway. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I hear you. Sorry, I'm talking to my computer. I just redid all the sound on this thing, and so I'm really having some I don't know how it sounds. I tested it. Julian Caesar says, thanks for interviewing him. He was very interesting and entertaining. Oh, God. You don't ever want anybody to be under the weather. But I don't know if this show could handle at full strength Steve Bluestein. Incidentally, we've interviewed Steve twice before. If you want, just go to the TomGullyShow.com. Just type in Steve Bluestein, and he's the one that taught me to say that properly. Bluestein. And the Memoir of a Nobody interview is there, as is the Take My Prostate Please interview. I can't talk today for some reason. I have one of my favorite people on, a really great guy, and I can't speak. And I'm quiet because I don't know what's going on with this. Hi, everyone, says Julian Caesar. I thought the Wolf had put a thing about Mike Tyson in here somewhere. Maybe not. The undercard has already started for that, by the way. Just about 15, 20, maybe 30 miles that way. That on the other side of Dallas. That way. It's going on right now. I used to live about 3 miles from where that's happening until I got out of Arlington. Do you guys care who wins that fight? Does it even matter? I just want Tyson to win it. If it's a draw, it was rigged. Man, I'm waiting for the phone lines to open so that no one can call in. Oh, dear me. It's been a long week, folks. I don't know about your week. My week's been a pretty long week. It's been a pretty long week. Come on, open up. Oh, let me tell you what's coming up on this damn thing. Coming up, we will have in the future Metal Maiden Vicky from Sonic Asylum Radio and Metal Maiden Vicky's Metal Euphoria. Ed Robertson, well-known author and a host of radio's TV Confidential, a show on the radio about old-time television. Russell Alexander and the Hitman Blues Band will be with us in the coming days. You know, Facebook just did a thing to me where it encrypted all my messages and got rid of all the old ones. So now all my old messages and the stuff that was in there, yeah. Let's see. Everyone wins. If Tyson wins, they get to say, I told you so. If the other guy wins, it's high drama. Let's see. Tyson won't be on till 11 p.m. Says the Wolf. Yeah, it's going to take a while. I thought there was only 3 fights on the undercard, so we'll see. What in the hay just happened to my sound? Maybe this is the way it was supposed to sound all along. The lovely and talented Stanley Cross says, Tom, I was late to the show. Did Steve talk about the groundlings? Stanley, if you're late to the show, I'm afraid you'll have to just... no, he mentioned that. Basically what had happened was he was part of the original sort of 20 comics at the Comedy Store. And a guy at the Comedy Store started the Comedy Store Players, and that group, which Steve was a part of, and members of that group formed the Groundlings. And that's about as far as he got into it. Steve apologized profusely, but we set this interview up way in advance. And he's just a little under the weather vocally right now. So, hi, and welcome to the Tom Gully Show. You're on the air. See, that sound just went bluey on me again. Hold on a second here, Wolf. I see what the problem is. We're back. We're back on the track at Indy. Give me a second, Wolf. I got to cover some things. So yeah, there's your answer, Stanley. The Wolf here. I don't know that. Yeah, I didn't. I just opened it up. So if you called it earlier, I usually don't take calls during the interviews, but
yeah, it's pronounced Bluestein.
it's Bluestein. Steve is very insistent about that, as well he should be. So
when you said Indy, I thought you were going to refer to Turn 5.
So, Wolf, I want to tell you, Stanley is extremely eloquent man. Is a very highly organized hierarchy of thought. He is maybe as pedantic as myself. He is on a channel here on YouTube called John Galt. Stanley would be sort of the exception that proves the rule on that particular channel. He is, I don't think Stanley would mind me saying, he's a person on the left side of the aisle. He's a Democrat. The rest, however, are pretty hardcore Republicans. Wolf, you might want to go there, as it is, a channel that has been developed by Black people. So there's a lot of Black Republicans there, Wolf.
I was just listening to, you know who Andrew Wilson is?
I do.
I was listening to his live stream, and that's why I got in late, because he was.
No, thanks.
He was playing.
Oh, thanks a lot.
These alleged Christian women who were basically making a lot of lies up about stuff he said when he was on the Whatever podcast. And I'm not, you can't necessarily call me a theologian, but starting since I was a small kid reading and all the different Bibles that I had, I understand what's going on. And he's done some things that he claims aren't in there that are. And I was in a little conversation with his wife, Rachel, over her, you know how I feel about language.
Yes.
Well, she tried to bring that up, and I said, "Oh, no, you're incorrect." So it's mentioned in Ephesians and also in Colossians about filthy language coming out of your mouth, and I went on about that. Never heard from her again.
Well, of course you wouldn't. Stanley Cross says, thanks so much for the shout out at the Tom Gully Show. You're welcome. Last night, I had to get out of there. I just left because I tried for damn near 10 minutes to talk, and I just kept getting talked over. And I just, at a certain point, it's a little frustrating, but it's not the frustration. It's just, this makes no sense for me to continue to sit here and not be able to speak. So I'm currently reviewing do I need to go back there? Do those people really? And also, I kind of felt like, dude, you're just kind of talking too much, and you're coming off as you think you're a know-it-all. And as you know, Wolf, I do not think I'm a know-it-all. I'm a learn-it-all, and that's what I do. I just track down information and give it to other people. But I felt like I was probably ruining their show a little by my.
In fact, the more you learn, the less you know. You start digging and you're like, man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like a never ending infinity circle that there's just the amount of stuff that's been written and learned. And it's one of the things that made me enjoy volunteering at the senior center so much, because you talk to people who were alive long before you ever were and knew stuff that you'll never know because no one writes any of that stuff down or records any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had in one case I had a client once that was a World War I nurse.
Wow.
And she told me stuff while she was trying to force me to eat chocolate over a table that was probably worth $50,000.
She forced you to eat chocolate?
She was pushing it on me. And the rug that we were sitting over was a hand-sewn Persian rug that was about 2 or 3 inches thick. And I said, Mary, why is your dining table on top of this Chinese rug? And all around her walls, she lived in Point Loma. And, those old houses with tile in the kitchens and the way they did sinks in those days. So she'd been there for a long time. Just a very sweet old lady. And she told me all these stories about World War I and being a nurse and how people thought about things. And I'm looking around the walls, and here's these expensive jade, hand carved in frames of gold that were handmade.
So
and I'm just thinking, holy cow!
Don't tell me who won World War I. I haven't read the book end of it yet. Anyway,
most people don't know those things anymore. They don't even know when it started or when it ended.
Well, the thing of it is, you said earlier, the more you know, the less you know. It's the more you learn that what you thought might have been true isn't. So it's like you just keep getting more and more information, and it also makes you very, very adept at checking things and at finding things out very quickly, because I factually verify everything I say, and I don't say anything unless I know it to be true, and I don't let other people say things. And you're really good at this.
That are true.
I think, yeah, we're both the same way. If somebody uses the wrong nomenclature, or and then they threw him in prison. Don't you mean the jail? Prison's like you're sentenced to a prison. Jail is where they keep you until you go to prison and they let you free. That's just stuff like that, Or if I hear one more person say, "I could care less," I'm taking a life. I couldn't care less. Couldn't. Anyway. Yeah. Why aren't more people like us, Wolf? Damn it. Old single guys.
I have no idea. All these people that spew this stuff out, none of them ever read anything, or I don't know if people even read books anymore, really. You have a few that do, but the majority of the population doesn't read anything. And some of them, I understand, they're taking care of their families, they're at work, they're that kind of stuff. But
hey, I do not want to be in the room when you and Stanley discuss something. because you're both really good and you're going to be at the very opposite sides of it, you know. But Stanley is a great guy. I think I would really get along with Stanley in real life because he's considerate. Why don't more people think about things? You ask people, it's like if you don't have an opinion on something, that means you haven't thought about it. And it's okay if you don't have an opinion on the 1938 Tiddlywinks Championship, but if you don't have an opinion on certain things,
Yeah.
you know, let's see.
Yeah,
Dupa says Tom and Wolf know how to paint a picture, tell a story. The most important question, did the wolf eat the chocolate?
Yes, I did, because when you have a person of that age and it's kind of bothering them that you don't want to enjoy what they have to give you. I learned a long time ago that when someone offers me something, whether I want it or not, I just say, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well, and you even when we met in college, you were always seeking knowledge. I mean, I remember going absorpine with you to to see if the moon was in its gibbous face. To see if the moon was in its gibbous face.
There's remember the guy I told you, this Italian that covers all the Ferrari stuff?
Yeah.
That guy writes me back every single comment that I have.
Wow.
He writes me back.
That's cool.
And also the game that I play, there's a guy named Polcho. And yesterday they're changing this game and they're going to bring what they call clan wars, which I absolutely hate. I hate going against other players. It's pointless. I'm there to beat the game.
Now
he wrote me.
That's clan with a C, because I know the other with a K you would like to go to war with. since they rigged the judges at the semi-state and use a hand watch to time your 40.
Well, no, here's the thing about the 100 yards.
Yeah, that's it.
I broke this guy's record in junior high, and I broke it many times in high school. But remember, in those days, they did time stuff by hand. They didn't have electronic timing.
Right.
There wasn't any of that stuff. So I'm running these times that my coaches are telling me, well, we both had you at 9.8, whatever, or 9.6, whatever. And then they come, oh, it was a 10 flat. And I'm like, there's no way that was a 10 flat.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Polcho guy, I wrote back, and I don't know if he's going to read it. I'm guessing he'll probably read it. But I said, I remember I've been trained to do these games from the old days, and I was telling him about the deck 10 that we had at Ball State, and the game then was Adventure. And it was all, typed out on the screen. So you read the description of the caves and wherever you were. You had to map stuff out by hand to make sure that you weren't going in circles.
Right. The whole book was like Dungeons and Dragons or something. It was like you have entered a room that is 30 feet tall. And, yeah.
That's what Zork was developed from. And then from Zork came Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
And I was telling him that I had the highest score they ever recorded for that game. And I told him the second highest was, of course, the Warmer was the second highest. And it's because I gave him tips on stuff. And I told him,
Wolf, come on, man.
In one instance, there was a stage, and it was a Persian rug that this dragon was sitting on. And you couldn't kill it. You couldn't use magic. You couldn't use items. And it took me 2 days to figure out. And I actually kind of figured out because I'm a wiseacre. And I said, kill the dragon.
Hey, language. We don't tolerate that kind of wiseacre. Really? I mean, I know it's after the family viewing hour, but for crying out loud, man, you don't just come on a guy's show and start throwing around purple language like
My
that.
mom, I said damn a couple of times in here because I dropped something on my foot, and my mom said, "My gosh, Kimberly, you sure are swearing a lot lately."
Stanley Cross says, Stanley says, amen. The more you know, the more you need to know versus the less you know. And,
well,
yeah.
and
Oh, by the way, and another thing before you get going again, look, the jacket is the warmer. His official nickname is the Mumbler.
you telling them that yet? So I put in kill the dragon.
Sure.
And the response that the system came back was with, "Are you kidding? With what?" And I said, "Kill the dragon." It said, "With what?" I said, "With my bare hands." And there was a pause, and then it said, "Congratulations, you just killed the dragon." And that's why I got more points than anybody else, because nobody could figure that out.
Yeah.
So I gave him that, and I told him games aren't like that now. You don't have to use your brain.
Yeah.
It's just all shoot, and I got to beat this guy, and nothing is. It's
yeah. Let me
anymore.
blow through some of these. Not blow through them. I'm not blowing through your chats. I'm just. Dupa is laughing. Says Wolf is so sweet. Oh, Dupa. Sweet naive Dupa. That is but a facade. No, he's very under the rough exterior and the several layers of muscle, there actually is a very nice guy. He's very nice to people. Funky Bronco says, "I love the Wolf." He also says he loves Wolfies. Doopadoo says there are competitions in Tiddlywinks. Yes, there are. Julian Caesar says,
betcha.
My whole life.
Very contentious sometimes.
They're very contentious. My whole life I've been hearing about Tiddlywinks, and I still have no idea what it is. My education is complete. Okay, Julian Caesar, imagine a piece of plastic about the size of a quarter, very flat. And then another slightly smaller piece of plastic, and you're playing on a felt. It could be a felt table, but usually it's just a piece of cloth you stress out. And if you take the bigger one and slowly put pressure on the smaller ones and slowly drag it to the back, it will eventually pop, kind of. It'll just ping, and you try to put it in a cup. That's the live on the razor's edge, laugh in the face world of high dollar competition Tiddlywinks. Tom's not blowing through chats. He's brushing them off. Hey, thanks for calling in, Wolf. It's fun. So, yes.
By the way, this picture that you have of Steve obviously spells perv. Without question.
I would say.
Oh, no. Now, anyone who likes to go to thrift stores is very perv.
Well, and let's just say, in case Steve is still watching, that the definition of perv just means something that is unusual or out of the way.
Bizarre, unusual, strange, peculiar.
It's not peculiar. Lots of people go to thrift stores, but Steve has these wild stories of brushes with people that eventually would become lifelong friends, or interactions, and just you couldn't make it up kind of stuff. I know Wolf lifted someone's car on the side, but that's just silly, harmless fun. Yes, it is. It is.
Well, until you have to get a 60-foot crane to get it off.
Well, yeah, that's a little different, but God, you used to get those bottles of Grolsch. When I met you, that's all you were drinking was Grolsch, and that expensive cap, and you'd blow it off. Tiddlywink sounds fun. Alcohol is involved somehow, I'm sure. There's nothing in the world that people won't attempt to use alcohol on.
Yeah, it's like, it's right in there with playing jacks and all that kind of stuff.
Pick up sticks.
There was, you had to just make stuff up in those days because there weren't any toys or games or anything.
Well, me and my, remember those little rubber balls you'd get that were like, almost, they looked like a tie-dye or something. There was just a whole bunch of different colors. Yeah. So we had a fireplace in our downstairs, our basement sort of TV room area. And at the base of it was a brick, like most have in front of it, a brick thing that came out. You could place the logs there while you were putting them in and stuff. So we had this like foot tall base at the bottom. My brother and I, one summer, played this game we made up where you would take this little rubber ball and you would roll it or bounce it toward that wall. And the one who came the closest won that particular round. And we did that to like nonstop the whole summer. That's
they called those Super Balls.
Yes, the Super Balls. And that's what it's like to grow up in Indiana. Julian Caesar says we did pick up sticks when I was little.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like jacks.
Or what about Foursquare?
Yeah.
That was like volleyball for 4 kids or whatever it was. But yes, you were very interested in the moon's gibbous phase. I remember that very, very distinctly.
I have some 70 millimeter binoculars that I put on my tripod and of Sorpine when it's clear.
Sorpine. Let's go Sorpine. Yeah. Let's see one more chat here. Nope.
I came up with that name because you are observing, but you're also absorbing the beauty of the stars and all that. So I just combined them both.
Who was the guy with Art Laffer and his takeoff was fine, but his landing was all wrong?
I cannot remember his name, but he was one of my finance professors. And really thick glasses and stocky, real stocky. He wore a sweater that always, probably because his belly was big, wore 2 buttons, wouldn't button. And it was he was a Mr. Rogers sweater.
Cardigan.
And Art Laffer, did you get to meet Art Laffer, or did he come while you were at school?
He did come while I was at school. I didn't meet him, but I watched him talk.
Oh, I stayed. He and G. Gordon Liddy both. I stayed and spoke to for quite a while after everything was over.
Well, for those of you who don't know, Art Laffer was a very prominent economist that had come up with a novel way to evaluate, I guess,
supply side economics.
Yeah.
He was Reagan's advisor until Reagan got in office, and then he dumped him.
Yeah.
That guy was really he and G. Gordon Liddy were both really funny.
Oh, sure.
I know you know this because you've interviewed a lot of these guys, but they seem like the most boring, dry, just uninteresting people. And then you start talking to them, and they are hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And
Dupa says she learned from YouTube that she's boring, but she enjoys her life. We only get one trip in this ride, that's for sure.
Well,
but
boring.
The people that
is another person's excitement,
especially politicians, they can be just incredible. Mike Pence, really, really funny. And lots of other people. I don't know. G. Gordon Liddy might be among the easiest interviews to get. He'll do an interview with anybody, or would have. I guess he's no longer with us, and he would be very well. I had just divorced my second wife, and I went into the federal penitentiary. And of course, I knew that he was actually, if you didn't talk to him about serious stuff, he would, tell all of his great stories about getting in there and cigarette on his arm and all that.
Here's the thing that people don't seem to understand. You meet so many people in those positions and so many oddball people in those positions. It's just like being a coach of a football team. There are so many whack jobs on a team of all kinds that you're going to have stories coming out of your keister.
Yin yang. We like to use yin yang here.
Yin yang.
Yeah.
You're just going to have stories from all kinds of stuff. And, when you go out and you travel and you just start wondering, you don't know the amount of people that you're going to run into. It's like that. I don't remember her name per se, but you remember that woman that just every day she just would take pictures of people?
That would be last name is Meyer.
And she had she had storage containers and stuff full of pictures that were never released.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were like would have won a Pulitzer. I forget which one is for journalism, but
it's the picture one. It's called the Picture Prize. No, that can't be it. Stanley Cross says he was a huge fan of Liddy's when he was in the Navy. But that's Vivian Meyer. There is an amazing documentary out about her, and I think you can see it for free on one of the streaming channels. And her story is absolutely not to be believed. A dude bought some storage units, like you see Storage Wars people doing. Yeah. Inside of them,
when they get abandoned,
were this just insane. Well, they'd been sort of abandoned because the two guys that were paying for it, her main job her whole life was she was a nanny for rich people. Phil Donahue. She was a nanny for Phil Donahue right after his wife and he divorced, I think. And she would go into these photo shops and, have these photos developed and then just take them and put them away. And these two guys that were kids she had raised, when they found out that she was getting older and not, that you don't get a pension, you don't pay SOCH when you do that for a living. She started to get older and couldn't work anymore. So they paid for those units. And at some point they just went, well, she's gone now. Why are we paying for these? Yeah. They didn't know what was there. This guy buys them. There were photos, like 150,000 photos or some insane number. There was,
it was ridiculous. The whole things were just packed full.
And she had video.
She took pictures every day, in the morning, in the afternoon, on her breaks. When she traveled, she took pictures.
Yeah. And she took video. She took a film, and she took, and she had audio as well, that she just recorded audio, and she just kept taking these pictures on the streets of Chicago, on the streets of New York, wherever she happened to be working at the time. And they're just so spectacular.
Award-winning stuff. And she never even realized her talent. She just did it because she just liked doing it.
Yeah. I mean, she just, it's one of the most amazing stories that I've ever run across ever. And it kind of gives you, it gives me like a sense of, wow, look at what this everyday regular person did well outside the boundaries of photography and, artsy fartsy stuff. And as a matter of fact, this guy that his name's John Maloof, he started scanning her stuff and putting it on a website and sharing them on Flickr and stuff. And they started going viral and people just started going crazy for it. he took it to a lot of art galleries that said, well, she doesn't have any papers. She's not a recognized, serious artist and all that kind of crap. And then they later had to eat their words. The documentary for this, and I highly recommend, I cannot recommend it enough, is Finding Vivian Maier. And I'll put how that's spelled in the chat. You will not be sorry that you watched this film. It is.
Yeah, I agree. It's really amazing and just unassuming. Every once in a while she might say something, but very seldom. Just observing people without them even realizing she was doing it and taking their pictures. And there's just people like that all over the place. You just never realize. There was at Turkey Run, there was, I don't remember his name, but he was this old guy that every time I went there, he was sitting in the parking lot on a wooden, basically bridge plank size piece of wood that was kind of, I don't know, I guess supposed to be a bumper between that and the outbuildings. And he would just be sitting there, and I'd say, hey, how you doing? And he'd say, oh, I'm doing just fine, young fella, as long as I got 2 feet above ground. And he would tell me about what stuff was like in the late 1800s and turn of the century, and talking about the first time that the police started policing. And I said, well, how'd you feel? And he said, well, in those days, anybody did something to wrong you, you took care of it. And he said that all stopped when the police came. And then he was talking about the first time that he saw a car and how it drove his horse nuts and it threw him. And he couldn't figure out what the heck it was. And it was making all that noise and smoking. And he said it wasn't going any faster than I could go, but man, it caught, It just one day I went there and he wasn't there anymore. So I figured he'd passed away.
Well, the story of how all of this happened is pretty incredible from the standpoint that this guy, John Maloof, had all these negatives, right? I think he had 30,000 of them. And he only got them because he was working on a book about the history of that particular neighborhood in Chicago. And he later got more stuff from another buyer at that auction. And he got her name because her name, although she changed her name a lot when she would go to the drugstore to have them processed, or the photo store, he got her name from all the stuff that he had received from this storage unit. But he couldn't find it anywhere. He kept searching and just absolutely could find nothing on this woman, Vivian Maier. Eventually, because he bought this stuff 2 years before she died. She dies, and there is a death notice in the Chicago Tribune. And so that's how he found out who she actually was and was managed to track down. Let's see, Maloof owns about 90% of her total output, including 100,000 to 150,000 negatives, more than 3,000 vintage print, hundreds of rolls of film, home movies, audio tape, and ephemera. I know how much you like ephemera, Wolf. Including cameras and paperwork, which he claims represents roughly 90% of her known work. We are going to do a show on Vivian Maier on Monday.
That'd be cool.
Just because I just got real excited about it. Vivian Maier is just an amazing story. And that documentary makes it more amazing. We're just scratching the surface here. But if only Vivian Maier had been around, Wolf, when we were at Ball State, wouldn't that have been great? Let's see, why are you typing if your knuckles are bleeding and your ribs are bruised? Go take care of yourself and have a good weekend. To Aku. Yeah, Aku, you're hurt. Stop it. Rush Job cars only available tonight. We'll be leaving for a road trip tomorrow morning. Dupa says, I remember Vivian Maier. Finding Vivian Maier. Yes. 2000 is the 87th Academy Awards documentary, best documentary nominee. Aku says, Dupa, I couldn't get any impact on any of the bolts, so I had to hand crank it off. What you do in your private time, Aku, please. We don't need to hear about it here. If you, anyway, that documentary is on Internet Archive. Oh, well, everyone, it's on Internet Archive. So watch that, baby.
There you go.
Julian, you should watch it now. You should watch it now. Now.
I watched it, and I was, because I used to dabble with, well, you know that. Eventually,
well,
we don't want
to say dabble. A whole universe could spring up around us.
Oh, you have my deepest apology.
Thanks.
I think that was during my period where I was willing to take $1 to kill myself for Brad.
Yes. And
I sold my camera.
Well, no, he wanted, was it? He only had $1. So the only person desperate enough for the $1
to take it was me.
It was you. And so he paid you $1 to put a hit out on yourself.
And I took the contract.
Yeah, he would always, because I remember I used to pop corn and come down there. I'd pop up a big bag of corn and we'd watch sports or certainly Dynasty. And he would get a few, I forget what he drank. He had something specific he liked to drink. It was a beer. And he'd get a little tipsy and start talking about wrestling. And I'm going to this and I'm going to that. And eventually you'd be like, well, come on, then. Come on, then. If you're going to do it. See, I knew you wouldn't do it. You're not going to do anything. And you were just sort of baiting him. And he would eventually have enough. And you guys were laughing the whole time. But within about 10 seconds, he was upside down in sort of a fireman's crouch with his head against the wall and the mattress. You still want to wrestle? Are you good? I'm going to get loose and get you. Are you good right now? You're good right now. It was awesome. Anyway.
He would ask me, are you going to work out today? And I go, yeah. Well, when are you going? And I'd tell him, and then he'd go, oh, okay. Well, never mind. And so he would wait until after I worked out because he figured I would be worn out and sore.
That's right. He would always
and
do
then
it.
He'd try to attack me.
That's right. He would always wait until you were laying there. Oh God, it was hell. Oh man. And he'd be talking about, oh no, I don't want to fool with that. I'm tired.
Yeah. Oh, and I'd still obliterate him.
Nothing was better than when he came back with all those cuts on his face and his shoulder and everything else. What did was it a truck or something he fell out of?
He and his friend, of course, this guy every weekend went back home to crash wedding.
Where's he from? Decatur or somebody like that?
Decatur.
Yeah, Decatur.
Yep, Decatur, Indiana. And he would go home, and every weekend somebody he knew, or in some cases didn't know, was having a reception for a wedding. And he would crash these receptions and get drunk. And then in this particular instance, he was driving his truck, the door got ajar. He fell out, rolled down the street. The truck kept going, and there was a passenger on the other side.
Well, the funny thing is he had this kind of crap-eating grin all the time when you and so I'm walking.
Especially if you saw him going to class, because that's something he never did.
Oh God. I probably saw him coming back from class like 3 times. And every time I saw him, we both looked at each other and I just started dying of laughter because he never went to class. I mean, never.
Oh God.
And it was like seeing a leprechaun or something. It was like, what the, But he also, when he, like, for instance, he stayed one weekend. You remember the weekend he actually stayed? We managed to persuade him, and maybe he had nothing else going on, but we managed to persuade him to stay. And we just went to all these parties, and all he did was stand there and just with like,
that,
dude, come on, let's go talk to those.
That grin.
Yeah, with that grin. But yeah, the when I came down to your room and I see him there, and he looks up and he's got his plain face on, and then he sees me seeing him, and he's got a cut on his forehead. There's a cut on his neck. There's a cut, and they're just big scabs and scrapes.
Scabs everywhere.
Scrapes and scabs.
Everywhere.
You know, it looked like he had been thrown out of a truck. Anyway, so he immediately he gets that, like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, what? No. I remember now. You go, ask him what happened. No, ask him what happened. What happened, Brad? And then
the only story better than that was he and his brother stealing the dump truck and crashing it. And the way that they got caught was his brother left his wallet in the driver's seat.
Even when he was telling his story, you were like, no. You left some stuff. You left a few details out. Whose truck was it? It was my truck. Who was driving the truck? I was driving the truck. He was a good guy. I wish I could remember his last name because I'd look him up.
I told you, Brad Harris. His last name was Harris.
No, that's not it. Now, see, you doxed him. Everybody's going to look for him.
Oh, I've tried to. I think I've looked for him before. Are you kidding? He'd probably get a kick out of it.
What do you think he's doing now? Is he just working his parents' farm, or?
I don't know. I've wondered about that. What someone like that could possibly be doing. What if he puts on weddings?
That'd be the best thing for him.
He sure knows enough about them.
Or starts a transport service for kids that go to college that don't ever want to stay at the college on the weekend. Dupa says, what did Brad say happened? It was just a sheepish litany of his own his failures as a human. The guy sounds like my classmate from trade school. Due to pandemic, we had to take classes online, and this guy was laying down on his bed with 8 empties in front of him. Oddly, he didn't make it. All he did was drink beer. He drank beer all day. Wolf interrogating someone. Docs, send Brad the link. Oh, I would send Brad the link in a heartbeat. Part-time bench warmer in the drunk tank. No. I don't think he did a lot of that kind of thing. It was just all real buffoonery. Let me see.
Yeah, God. Brad. It was what is the dumbest thing that could happen to you after a wedding reception? And that's what would happen to it. Oh
God, I'm trying to think of how let's see.
Yeah. Oh,
two F's or one.
I think it was 2.
Okay, let's see. Oh my God, I think I just found that son of a buck. This can't be him.
Is he still in Decatur?
Oh my God, on a popsicle stick. I think I just found him. Good Lord. I think I may have just found him. My computer will cooperate here. Let's see. Activity. Well, maybe not.
Don't tell me he's a doctor or something. That would fit.
Hold on. Let me sign in here to my... Man, Facebook just absolutely destroyed all of my old messages with that encryption thing. So I had to trash all my browser history and cookies and a bunch of stuff. And they were not kind to me. No warning, no nothing. Just a kick in the cannolis. All right, let me see here. I'm getting into his full. It kind of looks like him. I should send it to you. I can't figure out how I'll send it on Facebook to you. Hold on. I can still see some of the scars. Anyway. You tell me if this is him, because it is. I think it is. Skills, languages, interest. Well, all right. I'm going to send this to you. Can you access Facebook right now?
Messenger. Are you sending it on Messenger?
Yeah, I'm going to message you the information that I have found, and we shall see if we can locate one elusive. He was pretty quiet. He was always. Oh God! And both of you guys had. Your room was just like standard issue Ball State room.
Yeah, there's nothing in there. I mean, I brought the stereo and stuff, but other than that, no.
So the beds in your room were just sheet, blanket, pillow. I mean, there's no effort to make it homey at all. Sorry, I just got a message from a porn star that we may have on the show. Good friend of mine. So, okay, let me get this to the wolf here. And we're going to see. I'm glad we're tracking this down. By God, here we go. Come on. Who do you think's going to win the fight?
Well, I sure wouldn't want to. That's him.
That's what I thought. Oh, damn. It's too late to call that place.
Ash Brokerage.
And I don't be. Come on, man. We can't. Please. You don't know what I'm up against here. He could get a call from it. Let's see. Sending the link. Optometrist Wolves laughing at Aku. You recognize someone from their scars. Well, no, he was covered in scabs that particular occasion. Stereo is the most important part.
I recognize that chin, the nose, the eyes.
It's the alligator smile.
The grin.
Yeah, the alligator
the grin.
The receding hairline. The stereo is the most important part of the dorm room. Wolf had a great stereo. Wolf didn't have a waterbed. Color me surprised. Tyson's going to win, says Aku. Dupa is laughing and then says, shh, Wolf. And she's laughing because you're just giving out all the info. All of his info. And he lives at 123 Main Street, Anytown, USA. So who do you think is going to win the fight?
I have a hard time putting money on a 58-year-old dude fighting a 20-something-year-old dude. But Big George could do it, so.
Well, that's what I tell people. Big George was 45 when he won the title. Nobody thought he could do it. He was the heavyweight champion of the world, and he was fighting contenders. Mike Tyson.
Or he was fighting former heavyweight champions.
Yeah, or about to be. And
Michael Moore he took that title from Michael Moore.
Yes, he did. And so it's like Mike Tyson may be 58, but Jake Paul has only fought one real boxer that's professional, and he lost to the guy. And the guy isn't exactly he's the guy that was, He's the little brother of somebody that was heavyweight champ, and he was on Temptation Island, for Christ's sakes. So he isn't exactly, and I will say this, Mike Tyson, even at age 58, is going to hit him harder than he has ever.
Really hard.
He's going to hit him harder than he's ever been hit. And Jake Paul isn't going to be able to hit him as hard as he has been hit. Now he is 58, so that's a little bit of a different story, but the rounds are only 2 minutes, and Mike Tyson, if he's fighting against you, better look out.
And they're using 14-ounce gloves.
That's got to favor.
I watched Teddy Atlas, and I don't remember who he was talking to, but Teddy said take the under.
Well, that's just it. Is if it goes 8 rounds, that's bad for Mike Tyson.
He said he's going to have to get him in the early rounds.
And half of Mike Tyson's knockouts as a pro, 44 fights, 22 of them ended in the first round. 44 knockouts, excuse me. Dupa says, is it a real fight or is it about money? Both, I think. If it's a draw, I'm going to say it was rigged, but that's just me. Look at Hockey Wolf. How old are those guys? And they're still stronger players. Well, but it's different with boxing, I think.
Well, Teddy also said if he made a big emphasis several times on if it's real and not WWE setup stuff where you've already determined who's going to win.
Yeah.
Said if it's a fair, clean fight, that'll make a difference.
Yeah. What was it? Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba. He was like a role player in the NBA. Some would say he was a bench player. He did go off a few times in important games, but he wasn't a superstar. I don't even know if he made the All-Star game ever. However, after he retired, he became a commentator and stuff, and he took on a bunch of college players and players that just thought they were really good. And he did them all in a day. It was all at the same time. It was like 5 guys he took on to 12. And there were some college players in there. And he had a saying, which was, I'm closer to Kobe. At the time, Kobe was, or let's just say it was, I think he may have said LeBron. I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me. And he just dusted these guys. It wasn't even funny. And he was like 40 or 42 at the time. And that's what I try to tell people. If somebody is in Major League Baseball and they've been on a Major League roster for just one season, maybe they only got up for a cup of coffee a few times. If they play on your softball team, if they play on your softball team, even that fringe Major League Baseball player, and they get up to bat 40 times, they're going to hit 39 home runs. The difference is so, but dudes playing high school and all that stuff, they think, oh no, if I went head to head, I could just D them up and just kind of keep it close. No, you couldn't. Not in a million years. Nope. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about Mike Tyson. Because and I've seen the training videos, he trained for the fight. It's like, man, the last thing that goes is the punch. And that I still say, and I'm aware Muhammad Ali exists. Mike Tyson had the fastest combination I've ever seen on a heavyweight. That 3-punch combination he threw, bam, bam. It's lights out. And good luck to Jake Paul,
Well, there are so many, most of the time it's your reflexes, your intelligence. I was going to mention, you remember that guy that used to play I don't think it was squash. That guy that was 70 years old that used to win the tournament every year in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Just obliterating everybody at 70 years old. And these are just, young age people, normal age, 30, 40 years younger than him. And he just destroyed every one of them. It's like that dude. I don't think you probably never knew him, but he was one of our hall staffs, and he was really when I was a freshman, he was really dorky looking. He had a pot belly and, stick arms and legs. He didn't look like he had an athletic bone in his body. And the A section of the IM tennis tournament at Ball State, the only 2 years I saw him in it, he won it easily without even moving with a windbreaker on and Levi jeans.
I think he beat Peterman, didn't he?
No, Peterman wouldn't go in the A's because he knew that was what was waiting on him.
Okay, I got you. Yeah,
Peterman won the B, but he didn't even bother with it.
My favorite thing about Peterman was when he would refer to his girlfriend.
Oh,
because she would come visit him once in a while because she wasn't on campus, and he would, "Hey, what are you doing, Jim?" I'm getting ready. I got somebody coming in this weekend. Who is it? It's the beloved shithead. That was his nickname for her. Was the beloved shithead. Julian Caesar says,
she going to St. Mary's or something?
Yeah. Some
near the one that's. Isn't that what it is? It's part of Notre Dame.
Yeah. It's like it's the junior college, so to speak, right next to Notre Dame. That's what Rudy went to before he qualified to get into Notre Dame.
I think she was going to that, or the girls one. I can't remember because it used to be the guys went to Notre Dame and the girls went to that one. And I thought it was St. Mary's, but I don't remember the name.
Anyway, I don't know who Logan Paul is, but Tyson was the most technically adept heavyweight. He's skilled. Well, no, I don't think he was as technically adept as Muhammad Ali, but
he wasn't.
In terms of that combo, Ali threw combinations, and they were fast and they were pinpoint. But Ali did not throw those combinations inside the way
Ali
Tyson
didn't have an uppercut that lifted you off the mat.
Yeah. Ali was a more stand-up at distance boxer. He didn't. I mean, Tyson wanted you in close. Julian Caesar said, "Anyone ever play squash? I used to play in college poorly. It's an amazingly intense game. I play zucchini, which is very close, but has less calories." Doopadoopadoo says, "Aku, do you think Tyson and Jake won't get hurt, or it's just entertainment?" We won't know until the fight's over. As far as that,
I don't think that Mike Tyson gets in the ring and it's just entertainment.
No,
I'm not quite sure he has that mentality.
Yeah, I mean, he always says it. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to take your heart. I'm not here to play around.
I don't. I think that's.
Did you see
me? Foregone conclusion.
Did you see me win the beta bouts the one year? I think that might have been too late. No, it might have been.
It probably was. I think I was gone.
Yeah, I got knocked down 3 times, and it was like a back. The guy I was fighting was like a backup tight end on Ball State football team, and I mean. In the third, because you only fought 3 rounds. In the third round, the dude in my corner is just going, "Fall down, just fall down." This guy was really, he was really tagging me. But I had done some amateur boxing, the AAU style boxing, Golden Gloves, whatever, and I knew, hey, this is amateur scoring, so I need to keep moving and see. He didn't deal well with that, but at the very end of the 2/3 of the way through the round, Little did I know he had a glass jaw. Because seriously, he beat the tar out of me. I mean, beat the living bejesus out of me. And but see, I wasn't getting tired because I got to rest every round. Getting up, ref, wiping my gloves off, and so I forget what. And I had been staying outside and moving because this guy was a monster. He looked like he could light a match on his palm. I mean, man, I kept jabbing, and I'd occasionally throw an overhand, and finally, I think he hit me, and I went into the corner, and he started coming in, and I said, okay, I've had about enough of this. And I just said, I'm going to swing for the fences here. And maybe that'll keep him away from me for a second. And I did an uppercut, and I mean, he took a step back, he blinked his eyes once, and boom, on his back. He was up at 11, but he wasn't up at 10. And he was fine. He was absolutely fine. He walked back to his corner. I think there was 3 Ball State cheerleaders there waiting for him. They didn't have their outfits on, but he had smoking hot babes waiting there. I can barely lift my arms up. I'm bleeding. They made us wear that headgear. The headgear had made like rough marks all over, from where he kept hitting me. I went back to the dorm, and I didn't get out of bed. And this was like on a Saturday afternoon. I didn't get out of bed for almost 3 days. Only thing I got out of bed to do was pee what would be over time decreasingly red infused urine. I mean,
little organ damage.
I could not move. I couldn't do shit. I bet you he was having some kind of Karma Sutra moment with those 3 chicks 15 minutes after. And I'm dead. I mean, I am dead. And I went, there ain't no more boxing. See, because I think I fought 2, maybe 3 other fights leading up to that. They all went the distance. I just peppered them with, if you have never boxed, you probably don't know how to close off the ring to somebody. And as you probably will attest, Wolf, I was skin and bones. However, I had a hell of a reach, and I played soccer. So it's like, hey, I'm going to just be on my pony the whole time this fight's going on. I'm not going to let you hit me. I'm going to get sideways on you and blade you so you don't have a target to hit. And I am going to constantly jab the whole time and just piss you off for 3 rounds. And that's what I did. And there you go. Bing. You win. But Jesus, that last fight, oh, God. Especially the guy in my corner. Just going, fall down. Just fall down. Fall to the ground. Just go. Don't,
Well, that's kind of what happened to me in both of those times I was runner-up in the open wrestling tournaments. Wrestling's a little bit different. I was doing 50 miles a week still then, and that doesn't cut it for wrestling. You have to wrestle every day to be in shape, as well as do the road work. And I hadn't wrestled at all. I was training and all that, but wrestling, because it was regular wrestling minutes, 3-minute rounds.
Yeah.
3 of them. And you had to do 3 of those, actually 4 of them back to back. So I might have had maybe 15 minutes in between. And by the time I got to the finals, I was pooped.
Yeah.
And both times they were like, how did I beat you? And I said, are you kidding, man? I said, you wrestle. Both these guys were assistant wrestling coaches for high school.
Yeah.
I said, you wrestle every day. I don't wrestle at all. I said, I turned into we used to call it a fish because you were just flopping around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I threw them around, and both of them were like, man, I've never in my life experienced strength like that.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, but where did it get me? You still beat because I ran out of gas.
I was even skinnier in like junior high and stuff. And the junior high phys ed teacher, every time we divide the class in half and then we'd have a tournament. And he goes, I come out one time, he goes, yes, Mr. Gully. Not much of a wrestler, but you're going to make a hell of a lighting engineer when you when you grow up, because you've had plenty of time to look at the ceiling pinned on your back, whether it's the small gym or the big gym, or we go outside. Anyway. Hey, a wonderful thing has happened here, Wolf. Dupa Dupa Doo, who is so generous and so awesome in this room. I mean, she's the heart and soul of the place. She's given us $10. Thank you, Dupa. Love Tom and Wolf together. And then again, another $10. Did I say how much I love Wolf and Tom together? Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That is so nice.
That's awesome.
It really is. And Dupa, I told her the other day, she's a great personality, and she's friendly to everybody. She's insightful. She knows a lot of shit. And it's just great having her here. So Tyson using Jack Dempsey's style and refining it to such a high level is amazing to watch. Well, that's due to Cus D'Amato. And after Cus D'Amato died, there were, Kevin Rooney and a few people left. And when Don King took over, he drove them out, and that was the end of Mike Tyson's dominance.
And Tyson later admitted that when he separated with Rooney, that was the end of his career. He admitted that.
Yeah.
He knew that was the biggest mistake he ever made in his life.
Yeah, and Rooney was with him with Cus D'Amato. Let's see, Julian Caesar. In my opinion, HBO ruined boxing. In my opinion, Don King ruined boxing, but.
Don King definitely ruined boxing.
That's the same thing.
No question about it.
We're kind of talking about the same thing, though, Julian, because Don King was part of all that HBO nonsense and Showtime. Julian Caesar says, any puncher has a chance. That's what I'm saying. Dupa is laughing.
Yep.
Tom and Wolf, how tall were you in middle school? Well, I'll let Wolf go in a second here, but mine's real simple. I was not that tall. I mean, I was probably at the upper end of the average kids, but I didn't start growing until my junior year in high school. So I had a tremendous growth spurt. I couldn't sleep at night. I was growing so fast that I was getting stretch marks on my elbows and my hips and my knees, everywhere, really. And so Wolf mentions that my freshman year that I was not 6'5". I was shorter than that. But after my sophomore year, I was fully. But well, how tall were you, Wolf, in middle school?
I was tiny. I was like 5'6" or something, but I could dunk a basketball.
Yeah. And I've seen the pictures.
So I had really big hands and really big feet. I think I was wearing a size 12, 13, something like that.
Sorry, it's not funny.
And I had stretch marks too, but it was from muscle, not from growing tall. I was getting bigger muscle wise.
Yeah,
without even using any weights in those days.
I didn't do that then.
Before I touched a weight, my arms were 17 inches. Without any weight to that.
When I was that age, if I worked out when I was in middle school, I would still be as bony and stringy. I would just have more definition. I just couldn't put on any muscle. And then when I got to, about the time I was just a late bloomer. When I got to Ball State, I grew and started putting on more. I always had, pretty good legs from soccer, but even that, you're running and doing stuff so much that you got to have.
Well, you were just super wiry.
Yes. And I would
Cords of muscle.
Cords of muscle. And I had quick feet. Aku says explosive growth spurts sucked. I went over 8 inches over a summer. Who is the guy? And literally you could hear my bones cracking. That was a joke. It was not meant to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But now I'm giant. Whatever. Yeah. And
I ended up weighing like, I was 198 pounds at 5'6". And when I went out for the track team, both my coaches were on the Ball State track team, so they were both from Ball State, and one of them's name was Ball, Steve Ball. And when I went out for the track team as a freshman in high school, they thought I was there for the field events. And one of my brother was still in high school then, and everybody his age. And one of them we called Stick because he was skinny, but he had this huge afro. So it was he was skinny like a stick. And he wasn't as fast as my brother, but he was pretty fast. He was quick. And so I walked up to Dobby, and he said, well, the field events are over there. And I said, I'm not here for field events. I'm here for the sprints. He said, no, you're not. You're here for field events. I said, no, I'm not. I'm a sprinter. And they didn't bother to check who I was. Everybody else knew who I was.
Right.
And Stick said, because I told him, he said, well, you're not here for field events and you're not here. And I said, okay, see you later. And I walked off. And Stick said, do you realize what you've done? And Dobby said, no. He said, that guy's one of the fastest guys in the state that you just ran off.
Hey.
And next year when I came out at my still muscular size, because I think I'd started wrestling then. So they had nothing to say about it, welcomed me, and I started winning meets for them.
Yeah.
So all that stuff changed,
Did I ever tell you the story of when, there's 2 stories. One, they're both pretty quick. When I was playing indoor in Indianapolis, and I was, you get there, you have to enter the field and walk across it to get to where the benches are. Kind of like hockey. They're like hockey benches. And so you go over there. I'm the goalkeeper. So I have all this crap with me because indoor you're wearing lots of pads and stuff. And so I've taken my bag over there, and midway through getting across the field, guess who walks up to me? Fred Flintstone. And remember how cocky he was all the time? Yeah, he was still cocky. This is my first college roommate.
Well, I don't know, because every time he tried to get cocky with me, I walked in there and turned the bed over on top of him.
Well,
and then walked out with no emotion.
Yes, you just blank face. So he starts getting all froggy on me, and like he came, hey, what are you doing here? I know you don't know you play here. Yeah, we're gonna kick your ass tonight. We're gonna have and of course I was playing on a team that didn't lose a game for like 3 years. And I just looked at him and I said, only thing I have to say to you is don't come down near my end, because you're in my world now, bitch. He made the mistake one time of coming down, and next thing he knows, he's on his ass looking at the thing going, well, hey man, what's the deal? I don't like you. Another time, I don't like to talk to the other team before the game. So I'm walking across, and this guy I had known for a long time, and he was a really nice guy, was on the other team, and he was older than me. I mean, and I was at the time probably my mid 30s or something, playing in the Premier. You can do that if you're a goalkeeper. And so I'm walking across and he came up. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to make an exception because this guy was really nice to me when I first started playing in the men's league when I was 16. And he comes over and he's talking to me. And one of his players came over. I guess he was wanting to talk to this guy because this guy was like the de facto coach, even though he'd get on the field once in a while. And he's standing there, listen to us talk. And he goes, and he says to me, so was there an old guys game before ours?
Oh.
And his coach guy, the guy I knew, went, shut the F up. He goes, go over there. And he turns to me, I am so sorry. Well, because he played with me, he knew what that kid had just done. And you know, I could hear him telling the kid on the way back. He said, the worst thing you can do is make him mad. Don't ever make him mad. You can score some goals on him if he's not mad occasionally, but if he gets mad, it's over. And yeah, I was pretty good and pissed. I had a teammate trying to calm me down one time when I was pointing to the scoreboard and letting my teammates know, hey, we only have about 59 seconds to tie this game up, so don't keep sitting on the ball. The score had switched at halftime for some reason, so some kid was operating, who knows, whatever. So I'm screaming and yelling, I'm red in the face and everything else, and this guy's like, hey, just calm down. And after the game, like 3 or 4 guys told this British dude, he goes, no, you don't want to calm him down ever. If he's that mad, that is what we want. And I had one defender tell me one time, hey, you know what? Occasionally I let a guy through because I know he's probably going to kick you just so you'll get mad. I have rolled the ball back to people before. When I'm really pissed and I'm on my game, a guy comes down, he takes a shot, or I come out and steal the ball from him. He starts running back. Maybe he says something stupid. I'll just go, hey, and just roll it back to him. Try again. And everybody goes, oh, that's stupid. You know, it's like, hey, you know what? It freaks them out so bad, they never take a good shot, ever. I've never had one guy take a shot on target doing that, ever, not once.
I don't think people really understand a certain mentality that any good player has, or great player especially has. They don't get it, and they make those mistakes all the time. I remember Maurice, who looked more like a caveman than any person that I've seen.
Are you talking about Maurice Harvey?
Yeah. Protruding forehead, little bitty, tiny, beady eyes set back in it. No one ever talked to Maurice. Ever. When he came out. Nobody went in to get him to come out for the start of the game. Nobody, you know. Oh, where's Maurice? No, none of that. They just left him alone. And that dude would come out so pissed off. He, you know, in those days you had it's not like now with kickoffs. You could build that wall, and he would dive over that wall and hit the ball carrier and bury him in the ground. The guy would fumble, and we'd have the ball on like the 5-yard line every time.
Well,
nobody said anything to that dude.
For those of you who don't know, and there's really no reason you should, Maurice Harvey, of course, played at Ball State, but he played 7 seasons in the NFL. He played for the Broncos, the Packers, the Lions, the Buccaneers, and
Raiders.
No, it doesn't have the Raiders.
He's on the Raiders.
He's
on the Raiders.
Well, it's not on here. I'll check. I'll check the NFL thing.
They cut him because they couldn't deal with him. Denver had him. I know he was on Denver because I worked with a guy that was in charge of special teams at Denver, and when he found out where I was from, he said, Maurice Harvey. And I said, you know Maurice? He said, yeah, that guy's a head case.
Well,
We
that was common.
and Detroit was the game I told you about where my friend and I were at his accountant's watching the Thanksgiving game, and he hit that dude, and I said, that's Maurice. And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, that's a Maurice Harvey hit.
Yeah.
And they stopped the game and took the guy off on a stretcher, and it was Dallas. I forget who it was that he knocked out, but he's like Bishop and all those dudes, man. You just left those dudes alone and let them do what they did.
Well, the 9 interceptions, 6 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown. Let me see his Pro Football Reference here real quick. Oh, stop it with your crap. But yeah, and Blaine Bishop, but he played safety. Let's see here. Overview, game log splits. Come on. Denver, Green Bay. 2 teams, Green Bay, Detroit, Tampa. It doesn't show. Maybe they cut him before the season started.
They probably cut him. Did you always talk about with all the queer ways that they listed players on their teams?
Yes.
Or was it Cochran?
No. They would do things. Oh, wow. His last stint in Detroit. So he played from 78 to, and for some reason was out in 79, maybe an injury. Played all 16 games in 7 and didn't come back till 80. I'm going to assume he got injured in training or who knows what.
Maurice had problems with hamstring tears. If you saw he had huge hamstrings.
Yeah.
Huge thigh biceps. Always, you get that imbalance, and one of them's going to tear, and he was always having problems with torn hamstrings.
Well, this is interesting. He played from 80 then until 84. And let's see, he played the full season 1, 2, or close to it, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And then, so 84, he's playing for Tampa. Nothing till 87 when Detroit brings him back for 2 games. So that to me sounds like, hey, we are desperate for somebody to fill in for a couple of games here. But anyway,
I think those hamstring things probably did him in, because he'd come back to school and be messed up, and in between he'd come back and
rehab
to rehab, and they would have him like assist. I don't know if he had I don't know what his degree was in, but a lot of those guys had coaching degrees.
Yeah.
So they were doing it for coaching. And I think he came back and he coached the corners or so. I forget what he was doing, but he and Crush was a trip too. That dude was mean.
Ooh, yeah. And then he died.
And he wasn't very big.
Was it training camp? Was it training camp that he had a heart attack or something?
No, I didn't know I don't think he passed. Maybe he did. I know that he was a captain for the Cardinals and started as a nose man, as a nose tackle, even as small as he was. But that dude's arms were like mine, just like ape long arms. And he got a torn retina, and that's what ended his NFL career. He couldn't see anymore.
I don't know why I thought he had passed away in training camp.
No, not that I know of.
But he's no longer with us. He died in February of 2020. 4 seasons for the NFL St. Louis Cardinals. Can you imagine? You know, a guy works hard. Pro football team wants him. He's got to wear that same stupid damn helmet, identical, dumb with the bird on it.
The school you played at?
Yeah, the school you played at. He started 32 of his first 41 NFL games, but appeared in only 6 of his last 16 games. He was selected to the all-rookie team in 1980. He was the 1975 Player of the Year in the United States Air Force of Europe Football League because he enlisted.
Yeah, that's where they found him.
Yeah. He attracted the attention of a professor who encouraged him to attend Ball State University. He ended his military career as a second lieutenant before pursuing his education at Ball State. 8.5 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, and an interception. Ooh, the Crush Brown.
And that's at playing nose tackle.
Hey, Julian Zezer's asking, Wolf, do dirty players exist in the NFL or do they last? And I think every player's a dirty player when they have to be.
Well, the truth be known, like when they start, Reggie White is a minister and he's this and that. And I said, while he was playing, he wanted to kill everybody just like all the rest of them did. Don't let anybody fool you. That's what you have to do to dominate at that level, especially.
Yeah, and especially at that sport.
You have nasty intentions. I did. I mean, I would be going back to the huddle thinking hurt, mangle, and kill. That's what I was saying to myself. And then that ball got snapped, and whether I was carrying it or I was blocking, somebody was going to pay for trying to hit me.
Well, it's weird with soccer because
be nice.
There's players, there's players that go full tilt all the time and you play. But there's other players that are like, and I think Messi might be a good example of these players, that the whole game, he's sort of playing possum. He's just waiting. And when he sees his spot, when he's lulled you to sleep a little bit, bing, bang, boom, goal. And he may then go back to I'm going to just pass it around. I'm just going to kind of run, take a man out of position, make sure somebody's guarding me, blah, blah, blah. And then he waits and he waits and he waits. And then here's another little spot. So at the end of the game, you're like, wow, what a great game he had. And it's like, he only touched the ball with intent like 4 times. You're always setting somebody up. I know they do that in football and probably all sports, but football, you don't get a playoff. There's no.
And the nasty players that lasted. I mean, there's loads of them. I mean, they like to point out Dobler and oh crap! Now I can't remember his name.
Bill, the guy at the spit in the face of Shannon Sharp.
Yeah,
Romanowski.
Yeah,
Romanowski.
Yeah, Bill Romanowski. Alzado was dirty sometimes. Tews was dirty. So I mean, you had a lot of guys that were dirty, and they just pick a play. You say the wrong thing to them or something, and they go after you.
Well, Butkus.
That's just the nature of the game.
Butkus was legendarily not dirty. Like, he wanted to kill you. He'd knock you into tomorrow. He might even bite you and stuff in a pile, but he wasn't dirty.
That's just stuff that went on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every play, every pile. That's why my dad taught me an old 1950s trick. Whenever I went down, you could never pile on me because somehow I always managed to end up with my feet up in the air, and you had to land on my cleats if you were going to pile on me.
Yeah. Well,
I watched dudes several times veer to the side instead of piling on top of me because they're going to land on those cleats.
Yeah. Well, Julian Zezer says he has his reasons for asking, but they're too complicated to go into here. When you're a goalkeeper and you go up in the air for the ball, you jump off of one foot and then you bring your knee up with the other leg. And that knee is out in case somebody wants to run into you and they're going to get a knee in the chin. But you always know who the dirty players are, the dirty players. And man, especially in outdoor on a corner kick or something, I would just point at the guy and go, try something. I know what you're going to do. So please try it, and 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't listen. And, the ball's in the air, they're getting ready to jump. And just as they're about to leave the ground, I might have accidentally stepped on the top of their foot. It might have happened. And that kind of stuff, because I had a coach when I was probably in, I was probably in like 8th or 9th grade. And this guy had played in the Army. So he played all over the world. And he won practice. He goes, okay, the head coach isn't here. I'm going to show you guys some stuff that I probably shouldn't. And he won't. But you should probably know it as we start traveling and playing some of these better teams. And that was one of the things. One of the things was go up to, if you see the referee close to you right at the beginning of the game, go to the guy you're guarding and kind of just go into him and elbow him a little away from the ball while you know this guy can see it. If the guy doesn't do anything, have at it. If he does, he's going to, you want to find that out early. Just all sorts of stuff, little finer points of, here's how to mess with this guy. Here's how to mess with that guy. By the way, if the ball is crossed from one side of the field to the other, in soccer, generally the linesmen on the side, they're never at midfield together. They kind of follow the ball, but when the ball gets crossed to the other side of the field, forward or backwards, I guess, both of those linemen are going to track back and the referee is going to track back. And at that point, all three officials have their back turned to you. Well, come on, man. Come on. Come on. That's too easy. Because then, if a guy's, cheap shotted you, whatever, you just run past him and do whatever you want to him. And you make sure when you do it that you are running up and past the ref so that you're in front of him now, because that guy will always try to retaliate if you, I don't know,
get caught,
stomped him on the knee from behind or just slapped him in the head or pulled his shorts down, whatever because if you play fair and you play really physical, nobody has a problem with that. I mean, I've had guys just about tackle me because I got by them. And I'm like, hey, I don't know if somebody got by one of our defenders the way I just got by you, I hope he would tackle him or do something. So I'm not mad at you. I expect the foul. That's part of putting yourself in a position to score with the free kick or something else. You're used to it. But if that same guy had poked me in the eyes and kicked me then we're talking a whole different thing, But you had a nice way to let people know they shouldn't have done what they did. I think it involved taking your helmet off and using it as a scimitar or a basilisk or a claymore. Aku says, while too short, I have the ability to sprint very low. Think running at knee level. Boy, did it ever surprise a few players when I popped up to intercept or jumped 10 yards closer. Ariana May says, Netflix letting us down right now. Is the fight letting you down, or is the technical ability of Netflix to deliver the signal that you so desperately crave and you so righteously deserve? And I so fervently want you to have, Ariana May, because you're the way you are. But yeah, you'd swing that helmet.
Well, I don't know. You could have said I was dirty, I guess, because first of all, the stiff arm that they make such a big deal out of now, that was just second nature to me. You never got close to me without getting it. And I would either punch you in the face mask, grab your face mask and twist it and throw you, catch you on top of your helmet. If you tried to hit me in the legs, I either kneed you, I hit you with my 2 arm pad forearms on each arm, or I ran over you and knocked you out.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you're doing, especially me, because for a long time when I played ball, I was the smallest guy.
Right.
So the idea is that they're trying to do you in, and because every game I played, there was probably going to be me scoring a couple of touchdowns. Teams were trying to knock me out of the game. And my dad told me when I was younger, he said, son, I'm going to teach you some lessons to keep you from getting hurt. And I never did get hurt in the game, really. I got speared in the kidneys once.
Damn.
But other than that, I never got hurt. And the reason is because I protected myself. So you want to come hit me in the legs, I'm either going to knock you out running you over, or I'm going to give you a forearm, or I'm going to punch you in the face. So
Ariana Marie says it keeps freezing. I just want to see this boy get knocked into next year.
You want to see him hit so hard, the rest of his relatives all feel it.
Yeah, you want him to get hit so hard, by the time he stops rolling, his clothes will be out of style. Trying to find some of the pictures that I did of you. Oh, there they are. Let me see here. Let's just see what this one's like. That's on. Okay. Let's see if I can get this thing going. I had 3 different coaches, 3 straight years in high school as brand new coach. And I don't know why I've got that picture. Oh, it's a Ball State dorm room. That's why. So the first year we had this guy, he was really an awesome guy. He was an architect, and he had just kind of gotten into soccer because his kids played it. His kids didn't even go to our school. They went to a smaller school, Zionsville. And so he really didn't know much about soccer at all, but he was such a great motivator. He would give these speeches that at the end of these speeches, you would just want to go out and, they're going to think they've got a tiger by the tail. And he had all these phrases, and he was really funny. And so we went out and we went to a state final, and the next year, so this guy, I think, decides he wants to coach his kids at Zionsville. And so he leaves, and we get this guy who was short. He actually had played a lot of high-level soccer. He would practice with us. He was really good. He knew a lot about soccer. He really did. We learned techniques and things that we never had. We were just like a bunch of guys that would run harder and everything else. When this dude came on board, we were controlling the ball. We were making really good passes. We were doing everything better. But he was the biggest douche on the face of the earth. Like, everyone hated him. And we didn't hate him like you hate a good coach. We hated him like you hate a guy that's being a dick. So one game, and I'm in the middle of like a 15-game shutout streak. He starts screaming at me, which he never did. He wouldn't know anything about goalkeeping. I got trained by other people. He's down on my end yelling at me about a bunch of stuff. If it was a home game, he's screaming at me, and his little walking with his hands behind his back and his little measured, and his feathered hair. He was a pretty boy. So the ball comes back to me. I got it out of the air on a corner kick. And after a corner kick, you always want your defense to move up because they set the line for offside. So as they move up, they're taking all those forwards with them. And I'm yelling at him to do that. And he's yelling at me to do it. And I'm like, look, I've already done it. They can probably hear me in Fort Wayne because I'm pretty loud when I'm telling him to do stuff. And he stays there. And I've still got the ball. And back then goalkeepers could pick up a ball and roll it around, pick it up again and stuff. So I'm kind of doing that, waiting for everybody to get up because I'm going to just thunder the ball down the field. I'm going to punt it like 70 yards into the other team's penalty area and not have to worry about it for a while. He kept yelling, and then he turned and started walking down the sidelines to yell at somebody else. Oh, bad mistake, because he really ticked me off. I can see it to this day. When you throw a soccer ball as a goalkeeper, you have to compensate for the natural curve that your follow through is going to. And so you have to kind of Kentucky windage to the right a little bit. And I still this day remember releasing that ball, and it was just on a line and it curving and right off his head, knocked him over. It was awesome. And then he gets up and he goes, "Did you do that on purpose? Did you do that on purpose?" And I just shrugged. And then when I came off the field, he was right up and he grabs the front of my jersey, looking up at me. "Did you do that on purpose? Did you do that on purpose?" And I said, "Everything I do out here is on purpose." I said, "Do you think I accidentally hit you in the head at like 30, 40 yards away?" No. Yeah, it was definitely on purpose. You don't yell at me like that. Yell at somebody else. Let's see. We got some questions here. Hey, Wolf, is the current NFL offensive zeitgeist actually the Chip Kelly scheme from when he first came into the NFL?
Chip Kelly? Oh, no.
All right. I also had a 2-inch dribble, got subbed in the national game. One ref whose team we were against constantly called traveling. He got ejected by the rest of the refs for interference. Okay. Tim Jenkins.
I ran over a couple of refs.
I bet you. Tim Jenkins
on purpose.
Tim Jenkinson says Warren Sapp was really good at hurting players. Well, all I can remember is what he did to that guy on Green Bay. And it was legal to do it, but it was a chicken shit move. It was a chicken shit move. That dude was a million yards away from the play. Big, dumb offensive lineman. He was slow. He wasn't going to do nothing. And I don't like Warren Sapp, just on general terms. A great player, but I don't care for him.
Yeah, I don't either.
Netflix is
I listened to him come on. He's been on Whitlock's show a few times, and I thought the guy's a jerk. He's always been a jerk. What do you want? He's from those the U team, bunch of thugs. Yeah, I never cared for that guy.
Me neither. But when I was at Ball State, man, I mean, I hung out with you guys, and it was like I wasn't even on the soccer team. Nobody knew. Nobody gave a damn. Nobody was like, "Where are you going?" "I have practice." "Really? Intramurals? You practice for that?" It was like, "Yeah, I'm a friggin' varsity athlete at this university. I'm hoping for a letter."
Well, I think I was spending all my time in the library in those days, reading every book on every floor. That could have been some of that with me.
Well, at least you got to the one game. I remember another thing that happened in that game was like somebody took a shot and it came off of one of our players, and their ball was just like right in the middle of the penalty area. And there was 3 or 4 guys around it. And one of them was their really good forward. And I remember just diving on that like it was a grenade. And that sucker, he keel hauled that ball into me. And it hurts, but it's also kind of like, yeah, well, kick it 10 times harder. I'm still going to stop it, buddy. That was a muddy game too. I can't remember. I can remember all these details from these games. Aku says, I really want to watch Tom and Wolf play Madden football against each other. He'd destroy me in Madden football. If we played FIFA 2024, I probably would win.
I don't know. I've never played those games. I always play the RPG stuff. I like using my brain in games.
Madden is actually, have you ever seen it? Watch some streams that they record on YouTube. Madden is like, if you want to put the settings there, it's pro level stuff. I'm not saying the players are, but it's very, very, very complex and modeled directly after what they're doing right this minute in the NFL. It ain't like when we were kids. It ain't like when we were kids where you got to control one player. and see if you could make him zip through, or that game where you up, down, down, up, down, down, forward, forward. You know, remember that little Coleco game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The vibrations and all that.
Yeah. And then, of course, there was the electric football, which was just a vibrating thing with little men that were on magnets that,
yeah.
And like, how do you pass? Well, there's this little tiny white football and you pull it back and, oh yeah, it was awful. It was just awful.
I had the hockey, the NHL hockey game too.
Did you have the one with the dome?
No, it was just kind of open, and it was Edmonton and
New York Rangers.
New York Philadelphia Flyers or something.
Well, that was the one where you could bring the men forward and back a little ways, and you could spin them. You can make them go in a circle, so you could make them shoot. Okay. I remember the Troy Aikman game. Sap must have hurt Troy Aikman. You're still there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. I sent people flying.
I have one of my other cell phones, so I'm watching it, but I'm talking to you on. I turned the sound off, obviously. Yeah, I'm talking to you on this.
The only way to watch this show is with the sound off, man.
That's when you get the best results and best entertainment.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I had another person recently, just this week, ask me, so when you listen to your shows again, do you listen to see if your voice sounds good or if your mic's working properly, or do you find the parts that you like? And I'm like, I've never watched one of these shows over again in my entire life. What are you, crazy? That's crazy talk. That's crazy talk, woman.
Yeah.
You're losing your head. Come on.
I looked at the first one that I taped before, when I still stood down in those days.
Yeah.
That I had done for YouTube just to see if my, because I was using I still have it, blue. I have that blue microphone, that ball, and then
the Yeti,
that spit filter thing.
Oh, the pop filter,
in front of it.
Yeah.
And I was checking to see if those were working and if everything looked okay, and then I was going to redo it all, and then I had some issues that ended that.
Yeah.
So I never got back to it.
You have you have too many things in your place.
You ain't lying.
Well, no, I'm just saying some people come in and they go, a place can only hold so many things, and we've decided that you can't have your thing.
Too many.
You have too many. Yeah. All right. I got to get out of here. We'll be on till midnight. I guess we could do another members show this weekend. Or not. I don't care. I don't know.
Well, I don't really do much but work out and walk and eat.
I got to figure out what to eat. I got to go to the grocery store in the morning. I talk to my dad tomorrow morning. I got a big Saturday ahead, because right after I talked to
your dad never did come to school, did he? Or did he?
Yeah.
I never saw him.
He met you. Briefly.
Are you sure?
Briefly. Very, very, very briefly. It was just hello, and that was it. My youngest brother actually met you, and we hung out for about an hour. And if you remember him at all, which it's likely that you don't, shorter than me and blonde hair and a little bit longer, parted and feathered at the time.
Well, your hair was blonde when you got to school.
It was a brownish blonde, sure. Well, that because I was in the sun all the time. Yes.
And weren't you using the same straightener, hair straightener that I was using, or something crazy like that?
Well, yeah, we were both using that biology. Remember that stuff? Remember, it wasn't spelled. It was like BIOLOGIE or whatever it was. Yeah, we both had this. We were both using that. Sure, but mine, I had the system. I had the shampoo and the what was it, the cream rinse, whatever. And you're the one that's not like a brilliant.
Tell Aku, no, I do not have that Atari ET game.
Yeah, you had a 6-pack container that you, like the cardboard part of it, that you put all your stuff in. And I was walking down there with crap in my hands and everything. And I watched you one day and I went, I'm doing that. That's what you got to do.
You know what we should have done, but never did? We should have made the sauna, the wet sauna.
Oh, yeah.
Bland and I used to do that almost every day when we were at Edwards. Yeah. It was easier to block off though than it was at Palmer.
Well, because
you had one doorway and then you had a doorway to go into the showers, and then it was just long. There was, I don't know, 4 or 5 showers or something in there. Yeah. And all you really had to do is just put a sheet over that doorway, but it was really open at Palmer.
Yeah, there was 2 entrances. You came in and there was all those sinks against the wall, and you could go down all the sinks and go out or come in there if you wanted to. And the same was true for the showers. You could walk all the way through. But when I got there, Ball State, for those of you who don't know, has a huge steam system underneath it. And that steam system is used to, provide water, hot water for all the dorms and everything. Also used to heat the dorms in the wintertime. Yeah. And the shower heads put out this mist almost. It was like a high pressure. I mean, it kind of hurt sometimes. It was this powdery mist of just, it was weird to get into the shower and you're just being pummeled, not even by a stream, but by this, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. They're water savers.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, I'm getting out of here. Let these people watch whatever happens happen.
It's probably a long time before he's going to be on. Well, it's 7:36 here. So I'm thinking probably 9 or 10 o'clock before he fights. More than likely.
Probably.
I think there's a bunch of live streams on, but they're only showing the prelims. They're not, I don't think they can. I don't know how they're working that, if they're going to allow it, because I thought it was supposed to be free.
Free if you have Netflix.
Oh, I can probably, one of my sporting channels that shows everything that's paid for free. I could find it on there if I really wanted to.
From blah, blah, Bluestein.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to watch it in Russian, and they're like, toilet. Yeah.
No, it'd probably be, what was that one I used to always watch? That because I watched Formula One on a lot of them.
Yeah.
And NBA basketball before I was pissed at the NBA for going, woke and doing all that BLM crap.
Yeah.
I used to watch. In fact, I watched everything. I watched volleyball. I watched soccer. I watched tennis on a lot of them.
Right.
What was that called? Crap. One of them was from Russia though, but it was in English.
Yeah.
You could get either one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's been a long week. And it ain't getting any shorter. But hey man, thanks for coming on. appreciate it.
All right. Well, vaya con Dios.
Yay. Taco and a Coke.
Taco and a Pepsi.
Uno Speedy Gonzalez con crema. Uno taco más. All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Bye.
Later. The wolf. The wolf is hilarious. Always has been. Let's see. It's 10:37 where Aku is, and he says to himself, 10:37, I'm going to have some bourbon. Good move. You need it, man. You're all beat up. Please. Julian Caesar says, thanks for the conversation. And tomorrow, and Kim, thanks to Steve Bluestein. Stein. Sorry. Thanks, Dupa, Didi. Thanks, Chatters. Thank you, Julian, for being here. Thanks, all of you for being here on a Friday night. You know how we love these Friday shows. Good times. Getting the biggest stars that I know that are still alive. Aku says, well, I'm going to crash and try to remember I bruised my ribs. Steve Bluestein, thanks to Steve for being here. A little under the weather. And, both he, I, and the wolf, older guys, and we all during the show went, and you will too one day. And that's my gift to you. Warfield says, I got you to say Steen. Yeah, well, the thing is, I know two people very well with that particular ending of their name, and one of them insists that it's Stein, and the other says it's Steen. So the younger one, I always associate with Bruce Springsteen, and then that's how I remember the other. So, man, I'll pronounce anybody's name however they want it pronounced. I have absolutely no hesitation whatsoever. If somebody tells me that they want their name to be pronounced Goobermeister, by God, I'll pronounce it Goobermeister all day long. Anyway, it's been a long week. Hey, thanks so much to Doopa Doopa Doo. You're so generous and really, man, that is so nice. You don't have to do that. I always feel like, no, you didn't have to do that. I want random people that I don't know that have not been sort of the lifeblood of trying to keep this fledgling, horrible thing going. I want an anonymous millionaire to walk in here and do it. Preferably somebody that is dumping toxic waste, so that after they give me the money, I don't have to feel guilty about it at all. Dupa is awesome, isn't it? Isn't she? Hey, Wolf, by the way, I might have to call you real fast after this is over because we got to discuss old Brad. First name Frank. Don't know what that means. All right. Folks, I am looking over at that old clock on the wall. It's that time again. It says that like the Reverend Al Green, and incidentally, my double set of the absolute best of Al Green while I was in my car trying to fumble with it. It's one of those 2 CD things, and it came apart or got messed up. I spent 2 hours today trying to put it back together. Unsuccessful. So I just went and got 2 blank jewel cases and said, I'm gonna have to get up on out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, like the Blues Brothers say. So that means until next time, we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.